This is going to be a nasty take on Joel Embiid. So if you're not ready for it, if you don't want to hear it, I suggest you leave now. It is year 10 for Joel Embiid, and he hasn't given us any indication that he can lead the Sixers to an NBA championship. Yeah, he won MVP last year, but I think we all know it was a pity MVP. It was a, okay, fine, here you go MVP for all the years he'd been complaining about not winning MVP. As great and as skilled of a player as Embiid is, as more time goes on, it becomes clear to me that Joel Embiid is not one of those guys. He's not going to be the one to lead you to a championship, to carry you to the promised land. I think he's drifting away from being in the conversation with the likes of Jokic, Giannis, Kawhi, Steph, LeBron, and he's more on par with the likes of the Hardens, the Chris Pauls, the Barkleys, and the Karl Malones. All great players in their own rights, but not players who can lead you to win a championship. Here's how I've come to this conclusion. You need to have luck to win an NBA championship. And unfortunately for Joel Embiid, he's never had injury luck on his side. Anthony Davis is the poster boy for missing time due to injuries, but Joel Embiid is just as injury prone. The difference, which I'll give credit to Embiid, is he plays through his injuries. It's been a long injury-riddled career for Embiid that started with him missing the first 2 seasons of his career due to having multiple foot and knee issues. Embiid didn't make his NBA debut until his 3rd year in the league, and even then, he only played 31 games that season. Since then, Embiid has gone on to average 65 games played per season, a huge improvement relative to the first 3 years of his career. But somehow, Joel Embiid always finds himself injured at the worst times. Embiid has suffered an injury in 6 of the last 7 postseasons, and the 1 year where he was fully healthy, the 2020 bubble, his star teammate Ben Simmons happened to be out with an injury. So it's clear injury luck has not been there for Joel Embiid. Obviously, injuries are freak accidents and oftentimes uncontrollable. But if you have a history of repeatedly getting injured, it becomes expected and now has to be factored in when discussing how great of a player you are. Is this someone you want to build around long term, especially as they age? That's something the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have to ask themselves very soon. I just want to make it clear. I'm not a Joel Embiid hater. I don't hate the Philadelphia 76ers. I actually personally like Joel Embiid. I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. I think he's good for the league. But I'm just holding Embiid to the standard of a superstar. I think he's a great player, and I believe he needs to be held accountable for someone who's that great. He's given us too many choke jobs and too many failures throughout the playoffs. And personally, I'm quite surprised I haven't heard much slander or much criticism towards Joel Embiid. Like I said, I like Embiid's personality. I'm all for trash talk, super entertaining. But for someone who talks a lot, he does not back it up very much in the postseason. Maybe in the regular season. He's a regular season superstar. But when it comes to the postseason, he's not the same player. Joel Embiid has repeatedly failed over and over and over again in the postseason. How is it that after all these years, Joel Embiid hasn't been able to make it past the second round once? Just once. Boston's been to the conference finals like 4 times, and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are younger than him. They haven't been in the league as long as him. Luka made it to a conference finals. Trae Young made it to a conference finals. And this guy came into the league like 4 years after Embiid. So what is going on with Joel Embiid? That's just unacceptable in my opinion. So let's take a deep dive and try and figure out why he hasn't been able to get past the second round. First off, I want to start with the Raptors series. Let's not sweep this under the rug. I think everybody immediately goes, oh, the Kawhi shot, once in a lifetime shot. People forget the Sixers went all in this year. The year before, they lost to the Celtics in the second round. So they came into this year, traded for Jimmy Butler on the last year of his deal. They knew the risk. They also went towards the trade deadline, went and got Tobias Harris. And that was when everyone was like, all right, like this is them really going for it. And obviously now people be like, oh, Tobias Harris. But at that time, Tobias Harris was the number 1 option on the Clippers, averaging like 18, 19 points. So they already had Ben Simmons, already had Embiid, JJ Redick. They got Jimmy Butler in the offseason. And then at the trade deadline, add Tobias Harris, give up all their assets, get Tobias Harris. And everyone's like, all right, this is it. That was the move. This is them going for it. And they did all that just to lose in the second round again. Do you guys know what Joel Embiid averaged in this series? Bro averaged 17 and 8. 17 and 8. Do you know what he averaged in the regular season that year? 27 and 13. He went from averaging 27 and 13 to 17 and 8 in that series. But you know what? Let's give Joel Embiid a pass. It was his 5th year in the league, and he didn't even play the first 2 years. So it was really like year 3 for him, and plus Kawhi hit that shot. So you know what? Let's give him a pass for this series. Fast forward, 2 years later, Sixers hire new head coach Doc Rivers. Embiid is averaging a career high in points. He finishes second in MVP voting, and the Sixers have the best record in the East. It's their year, right? Nope. They lose in the second round again to the Hawks. No Kawhi Leonard hitting an all-time shot on you as an excuse. You're the better team, you have home court advantage, and you're facing a team who's never been in the playoffs before. The Hawks were younger, they were way less experienced. This is not how it was supposed to go. This was the year the Sixers should have made the conference finals and potentially the NBA finals. In my opinion, this was their best shot and they blew it. When the Hawks were making their run in the fourth quarter of Game 7, Embiid's impact was next to nothing. He scored 4 points in the last 4 minutes of that game, and 2 of those points came from a layup in garbage time when the game was already out of reach. There wasn't much criticism on Embiid because it was Ben Simmons' fault, right? Ben Simmons is the one who passed up the layup. Let's blame it all on Ben. It was all Ben's fault. Embiid gets another pass for this one. They traded Ben 2 years ago, and each year since then, they've lost in the second round again. So was Ben really the problem? And this past playoffs, the Sixers are up 3-2 with Game 6 at home. The Celtics' best player, Jason Tatum, couldn't buy a bucket if his life depended on it. And Joel Embiid and the Sixers still couldn't close. Embiid had 26 and 10 in this game. Good numbers, right? But very similar to his performance against the Hawks 2 years prior, Joel Embiid was nowhere to be found down the stretch. Embiid went 0 for 2 in the final 5 minutes of this game and blew a prime opportunity to make it to his first Eastern Conference Finals. And don't even get me started on Game 7. Wow. 15 points in an elimination game, season on the line, best player on your team, MVP of the league, and that's how you go out? Getting blown out by 34? This was a disgusting performance. Even if the 76ers lost, even if they got blown out, go out swinging, drop 30. This was one of the most pathetic performances I've seen from an MVP. And I really thought Embiid and Philly were going to pull it off this year. But I should have known better. This game was really the nail in the coffin for me to show me who Joel Embiid really is. And in the aftermath of that game, he had the audacity to say this.
I can't win alone. Me and James, we just can't win alone. You know, that's why basketball is played 5-on-5. So
why is he saying we can't do it by ourselves? Me and James can't do it by ourselves when both him and James Harden got outscored by Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris. PJ Tucker had more points than James Harden. What is Joel Embiid talking about? And then it's also smaller things like him missing that second matchup against Jokic towards the end of the season that show me what kind of player he is and what kind of heart he has. A lot of people might think, that's not a big deal. He was just resting. He was injured, whatever. To me, that just looks like you're ducking smoke. When you were at home, you outplayed Jokic. Props to you. Congratulations. You completely dominated, outplayed him. But when it was time to go to Denver for you to solidify, everyone knew that match was going to determine who the MVP was. And you wanted to sit out. If you were a true competitor, if you had real heart, if you were truly one of those guys, you would have went to Denver and you would have played Jokic. You would have outplayed Jokic. Even if Jokic outplayed you, at least you went there and at least you showed up, but you didn't even play that game. And then him going to play for Team USA? Are you kidding me? Team USA stacked. Team USA doesn't need you. That's showing me what kind of heart he has. And I know some people might think, this is not a big deal, but it is. Why didn't he go play for Cameroon? Cameroon has Siakam. Him and Siakam could have made some noise together. At least he could have even played for France. He's played for France before. That would have made it more interesting. But instead, he decided to go where he could duck the smoke and go to the team that's already stacked and play for Team USA. So little things like this also show me his character and whether he really has that true heart of a champion. I don't know why Embiid hasn't received more criticism. He's been in great situations, had great teammates, had a good supporting cast, but it's always someone else who gets the blame. He's never been held accountable. Like I said, he's a great player, So I'm holding him to that standard. Everyone was on Jokic's case when he was trying to carry injured teams through the playoffs. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid has been getting away with murder. What really is Embiid's excuse? He's had everything he's needed. There's no LeBron. There's no Steph. There's no Kawhi. No KD in his conference anymore. Yeah, there's Giannis, but he hasn't even gone up against Giannis in the playoffs. He's had great teammates. He's had Ben Simmons. He's had Jimmy Butler. He's had James Harden. Players have come and gone. Coaches have come and gone. GMs have come and gone. But what has remained constant? It's him. Unfortunately for the 76ers, they did everything they could to put Joel Embiid in a position to win. I don't think there's anything else they could do. I think now it's just a matter of time before Joel Embiid asks out. And when he does, that will officially mark the end of the process. And that's a wrap for this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more videos just like this. It's been your boy Hawass, aka the B-Ball Files, signing off.